We just learned about controls. Now we're going to learn more about content views. Let's get started.
So Apple has identified 12 different types of content views. Content views enables the viewing of a specific type of content. This content can range from text, images, videos, web, so stuff on the web, maps, and much more, which we will learn about today. So we're going to start with activity. The activity enables users to add a bookmark in this specific activity. In general, activities are system provided, so provided by iOS in this case, or Apple's mobile operating system, or custom task accessible or available through an activity view controller. Other system provided activities include print, Twitter, message, email, AirPlay. Looking at the next slide, we'll see the activity icons displayed in context. So briefly, I just want to go over what is it. It's a system provided or custom task accessible through an activity view controller. And I'm going to talk about the activity view controller in the next slide. And why use it? Gives users access to a custom service or task that your app can perform. These custom activities include print, Twitter, message, email, AirPlay. So this is the activity view controller. The activity, so we just talked about, are presented to the user via the activity view controller. In general, when I use the term view controller, it refers to the view that displays the UI. The activity view controller manages the presentation of its activities. So as I mentioned, the different activities can include airdropping, message, mail, Twitter, Facebook. The one we saw in the example was add bookmark. So it presents a transient view listing activity icons. Why use it? Gives users an easy way to perform a task on some content. And then we have the collection view. So it manages an ordered collection of items and presents them in a customizable layout. Why use it? Allows users to view a set of items, more than often images, as well as choose from a set of items. So many of you are probably very familiar with the collection view. The collection view manages the presentation of items, typically images presented on the UI. In this case, the collection view manages the display of thumbnail images of the Photos app. The collection view will likely allow users to select a thumbnail of their choice and bring the image into full screen view when selected. The collection view is very useful in that it allows users to quickly scan through a collection of images. So something to think about from a design perspective if your app is image rich. So image view displays one image or an animated series of images. Why use it? Allows users a way to view images in apps. Simply put, the image view allows for the display of images. Image views can support the display of one or more photos. You may want to include controls such as page control, so we talked about that in the earlier lecture, if your image view holds more than one photo. So you would put your page control probably right above this button, this segmented control here, fill aspect fill segmented control. Or you could just get rid of that button, that segmented control, if you wanted to, and just replace it with a page view, page control. So here we have the map view. It presents geographical area using street view, satellite imagery, or both. Why use it? Gives users an interactive view of an area. Interactions can include clicking on annotations, viewing users' location, panning and zooming. This is probably another familiar content view for many of you. Whether you are using a map app or a venue finder app, map views present geographical areas, usually in relationship to the user. Most often, users can toggle between a satellite image and or street view. As a designer, you will have to decide if you will provide users with an option to view the map views one way or the other, or both. Another pattern to consider here is to enable users to open up a detail map view when selecting a red annotation. So that's an annotation right there. On the map, note that user's location in this case is the blue dot. So this is the user's location. This is convention for iOS development. Then we have the page view controller. It manages stylized transitions, including scrolling or page curling, which is pictured here. Why use it? Allows users to view content in a linear fashion, such as paging through a book or scrolling through a calendar view. Design and development has done a fabulous job mimicking actions that we are familiar with in the non-digital world, like turning the page of a book. The page view controller enables you as a designer to explore including this option in your app if it meets the goals of your application. So we also have something called the Popover view. It's a transient view that can be revealed when users taps a control or on-screen area. So the user actually taps here, and then the popover appears. And then why use it? Allows users to complete a task, or it can also display additional information they may need. Like I said here, the user has tapped the plus button of the calendar app, and that triggers the appearance of the popover. And the popover, of course, allows the user to create a new event, so allows the user to complete a task. So you have the scroll view. What is it? The capability to scroll and see large views or a large number of views. Scroll view can be vertical and horizontal, or both. Why use it? Allow users to easily scroll and view content. The scroll view can be programmed to scroll either horizontally or vertically, or both, as I had mentioned. As a designer, you will have to decide which way your content should scroll. So that's probably a choice you want to make, like, is the user experience better if it scrolls horizontally or vertically? It just kind of depends. And then you want to sort of keep that same convention throughout your application. You can see that this little bar here indicates that you've got a horizontal scroll view happening in the application. And then you have the split view controller. Typically speaking, the split view controller is commonly used when designing for a tablet device. It's a view controller that manages the presentation of two different views. So you have one view here, or we call that the primary pane, and then you have the secondary pane here. It allows users to easily access secondary information by first making a choice in the primary pane, right? In terms of using a tablet, the larger screen real estate enables the designer to plan for a primary pane that opens up to a secondary pane. The split view controller allows users to follow their selection, right? So they can follow their selection in the primary pane, and then they can make a decision based on what they selected. So what's labeled here is labeled up here in the secondary pane. So definitely something to think about as a designer. You want consistency in the user experience. So here we have the table view. And a table view presents data in a scrolling column list of multiple rows. Why use it? Allows users to view information cleanly and efficiently. So here is the iOS contacts application. So you can list options from which users can select, right? So the user can select any cell here. It's a way to display information, so prioritize information. Here information has been alphabetized, so giving the information some kind of structure on the screen, and a way to display conceptual or grouped information. So here, this is kind of the Contacts app is a great example of grouped information. So under P, you see that Emily Parker and Simon Pickford are listed. So table view styles, you have plain table view, and you also have grouped table view. So this is what is offered in the iOS platform. The plain table view has a simple header followed by labeled rows. So you have a simple header here, right? And then you have your labeled rows. You can also put images on rows if you'd like to. And then you have group table. Rows are displayed under a header, right? So under a header, and then followed by a footer here. So just something to think about when you're communicating important information to your user in a table view. Table views also have elements of their own. Table views offer designers and developers ways for their users to interact with content provided in the table view. These interactions include deleting a row, accessing more information when tapping on a particular cell, so accessing information. If you will be using table views in your app designs, think about what table view elements are necessary for your users, and that will enhance the UX. So these are all different options that you can add on your table view. And then you can even go down to the table view cell itself. So this is the table view here, and then this is the table view cell. Believe it or not, you can also customize the look of the table view cell. In the default subtitle and value 1 cell style, so default cell style and value 1 cell style, you will notice that you can add an image into the cell. So you can add an image into the cell. From a design perspective, you will have to decide if it's important to add an image in the table view cell for your application. If you can also provide additional information to your user in the cell by adding a subtitle. So this is a subtitle right here. Directly under the main cell text. So this is the main cell text here. This is the subtitle text. You can also display right-aligned subtitle in lighter font if you prefer. So right-aligned text. Lastly, in the value 2 cell style, you can draw users' attention to text by using blue text or text color of your choice to differentiate between left-aligned text and right-aligned text. So you can do something like this too. So different ways to design the table view cell. Once again, you're always communicating what's important to the user when you think of how you're going to design these cells. And then we have the text view. It accepts and displays multiple lines of text. Why use it? Gives users an easy way to read and scroll through text. So besides providing you with the content view to display the text itself, the text view also supports capabilities such as scrolling, custom fonts, text editing if necessary. And then we come to the web view. Last but not least, there's a content view dedicated solely to displaying web content. You can provide a way for your users to view web content directly through your app, right? So they don't have to go out of your app to search for something on Safari or whatever web provider you use on your mobile device. As a designer, you will need to decide if this is necessary content to view in your app. So you have to decide whether or not making that convenient for the user meets your app goals. All right, so wrap up for content views. Once again, content views enable the display of specific types of content. So we went over the different types of contents. They can be customized, and they're very specific. So if you're using web content, you can only display things from the web, right? Select content views that are appropriate for your application. You can think of content views as a container to display specific types of content. Content views can be customized however you want to maintain a familiar look and feel. Lastly, you want to select content views that are appropriate for your app design and that will enhance the UX and meet the goals of your application. All right, and last but not least, this lecture is followed by part 3 of this 3-part lecture, and we're going to be learning about temporary views.